over that hump.
Yeah, it definitely did. But this win is also, ended Miami's 31 game regular season winning streak. Okay, so let's fast forward to the Notre Dame game. That's the only loss that you had. That was known as the game of the century. You lose 31-24. Talk about, it was a lot of hype because Collins game day was, at this game on site. I think it was the first time Collins game day, did a remote show on location. Talk about the preparation aspect, the hype around that. Unfortunately, we lost to them, 31-24. Talk about that game of the century. Florida State versus Notre Dame.
But really, the hype part, it wasn't we had been in those types of situations and games before, so that wasn't a big shocker to us. The biggest shocker was when we got there, they had grown the grass higher and they had wet the field. So they were prepared for that. We weren't. We had to make some adjustments to it, and so it. And plus, they played well, offensively and defensively. They had some very good football players, and we had one bad quarter, which was the second quarter. North throw interception deep in our territory. Had a guy open, but we were going against the wind, so I left it short. Got intercepted. But the great thing about it was we were able to come back and have a very good second half. We were down, I think, 14 points or so at one point, and we were able to cut the lead to where I think it was 7. And we had the ball, we were driving. So we had to score twice down the stretch. We did score one time. We got the ball back with a little over a minute or so left in the game or something. And we had an opportunity, but as I was before, step up and make plays, one team or other. They were able to bat the ball down. I made a throw into the end zone, the last play of the game, and it just wasn't meant to be. And so it was a great learning lesson for us in a lot of ways. It also brought us closer together as a team because we knew that we were capable of winning the national championship or being one of the best teams because we were in the top for the entire year. And it was just, we had to go through. But we were blessed to be able to have another opportunity because they put us at number 3, I think it was. And so that was very good on our part. We just had to go out and win the next 2 games and hopefully one of the top 2 teams lose in some form or fashion to give us another opportunity. And lo and behold, the next week, we got our blessing. Notre Dame ended up losing to Boston College on the last second field goal. And that gave us, the things, the inspiration, the energy, more energy, I should say, that we needed to be able to go out and play against North Carolina State. We were going to play and win the game, I do believe, anyway, but that was just icing on the cake, so to speak. Be able to know that Notre Dame had just lost, and that potentially could help us move back into the top 2. Because at that time, the top 2 teams. And so we went out and handled North Carolina State really, really well. I think it was 62-7 or something, 62-3. And the game was never really in being challenged. We had to go and finish the deal. We were number 2 team going to University of Florida, where they had just won 23 straight, at the Swamp. And that was going to be, something that, a challenge that we were going to have to overcome if we wanted to remain in the top 2. And, we were able to go in and play really, really well early, proud out of it. And then Florida hit a spurt in the fourth quarter. where they made a comeback and they cut it down to, I think, about 6 points. And it came down to someone having to step up and make plays when you needed it, and we were able to do that. We were able to hit Ward on a out route, and he was able to go 75 yards or so to be able to seal that game, and it gave him an opportunity to play for a national championship.
I was going to get to the Florida game. Yeah, he was actually right on the money with that. Yeah, they cut into the lead, the Florida game, 21-20, 27-21, with 6 minutes left. That was a 79-yard pass play. He threw a true freshman, Warwick Dunn, like running back, to seal the deal, winning 33-21. And yes, it snapped the Gators' 23-game winning streak at home, known as the Swamp. And that was a big one. Now let's fast forward to the national championship game. You win the national championship for the first time, 18-16. All the years, a few years dealing with wide right the last 2 years. Now the kicker for the Nebraska missed it wide left. His name was Byron Bennett. Talk about that as you win 18-16 as the kick went to the left and you win your first national championship for Florida State.
Yes, that was a hard-fought game as well, and a very good championship game. The more I keep watching it, there are plenty of opportunities on both sides to be able to, take advantage of it, of the game, of the opportunities, and just weren't. Whether it was offensively, defensively, whatever it may be, it was, a competitive game. And we scored only one touchdown, which was different for that year. But they had a very good game plan defensively. Our defense, was very stopped well. But we were able to make plays when we needed to make plays. Now there's 116 left in the game. When we had the ball last, offensively we had the ball and had to put a drive together. And I tell people all the time that, that drive just didn't happen. And guys step up and make plays. It happened through the year where we had to execute, whether it was against, teams that we were better than at that time, or against Notre Dame, having to drive the field under tough circumstances. And, that whole season had prepared us for that one drive. And we were able to put together a drive and get a field goal out of the deal to go up 18-16. Probably could have done a better job of managing the clock. But, we were able to, get what we wanted or needed at that time, which was a field goal to put us up. Then we put it on our defense to get us stopped, and we were fortunate that the kicker missed the kick again. We had a good Cliff Abraham coming off the edge to put pressure on him to rush it, and he hooked it. So we were grateful that we were able to do it, but just like any championship, it's not going to be easy, and there are going to be some things that you have to fight through in order to win it. But when you do put yourself in that position to win it, you want to put your best foot forward, and we were blessed to be able to do that.
Okay, so now you're national champion. Also, you won the Heisman that year. You threw 27 touchdowns. Talk about that feeling winning the Heisman when you finished with 2,310 votes by unanimous decision. You won by a landslide. Talk about that feeling of being part of the one of the most prestigious awards in sports. The Heisman Trophy. Talk about winning that Heisman Trophy in 1993.
Just like everything else, everyone, those are goals that you kind of set. Everyone would like to be a part of it, and I was blessed to be on a winning team, and the team was on television a lot and had very good players around me to help with numbers and all those types of things, and the offensive line, the defense, everyone playing well, plays a big part in the individual awards, and I was grateful to be able to do my part. And it was a name changer for sure. People knew the name, but when you win a Heisman, it definitely changes your landscape as far as how far your name goes. Because every time you go somewhere now, and even back then, you get labeled as a Heisman winner, and people understand and know who that is, and so that was definitely not what I desire for my name to be, going across the globe, but that was God's plan for my life, and I've embraced it, and it's been, very good platform to be able to share the things that He's given me to be able to share, and so, it's definitely a great blessing, but winning that championship was, very good as well. I enjoyed that.
Okay, so now let's get into the basketball. You played basketball for the Florida State basketball team, and you almost went to the Final Four. You played with Sam Cassell, Bobby Soar, Doug Edwards, and you lost unfortunately to Kentucky 106 to 81. Talk about that experience playing basketball, being close to possibly winning the national championship, with Florida State. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Playing with three other first-round picks. It doesn't hurt to have very good basketball players in the team. And again, was the point guard, worked to get everyone their shots and played my part in making teams, helping the team be successful. And, playing with Rodney, Dobart, who's a shot blocker, had a very good touch around the basket. Doug Edwards, Sam Cassell, Bob Serra, playing with those guys, make your job easier. As a point guard, even as a teammate, because you have other guys that can do things that you can do. So it was a good run for us that year. We had good 2 years with Sam, coming from junior college, and it was not forced. We lost to Kentucky, who was loaded that year. So they were loaded every year. They definitely loaded that year. But it was a great experience for us to get to the Elite Eight. That was the furthest we had gotten since, like 72, I think it was, when we won a championship back in 72, or got to the Final Four. And so, it was a great experience for FSU basketball, for sure.
Okay, so the National Football League, you didn't get drafted. What happened with the NFL? Why you wasn't drafted? Because you were Heisman Trophy winner. You didn't get a shot at the NFL. Talk about that experience not being able to play in the NFL.
Well, it was kind of twofold, because I was chosen to keep my options open by playing my last year of basketball in college, and so I missed the combine, the NFL combine, and because I was playing basketball. But I did do the pro day on campus, and I did pretty much all those things that I needed to do to be able to get drafted at some point. But I wasn't 100% committed, which that was not going to get me drafted high. But I made a statement, went out on faith, that if I didn't get drafted in the first round, then I would consider my other options. And so I've been projected as a third or fourth round pick at that time, and I knew the statement was going to either scare some people away, or someone's going to draft me just like in Major League Baseball. They drafted me to have my rights if I chose to go and play baseball, or I wouldn't get drafted at all. So I knew all those things, but I made the statement, and I made the choice to keep my options open. And, we have to make choices, and we have to live with the results. And the result was I didn't get drafted, and that gave me an opportunity to go into basketball full time once I did get drafted. And my prayer during the whole before it all started was, Lord, please open the door, close the door. And he definitely closed the door on the NFL by me not getting drafted. And then chose to go and put all my time and energy, more time and energy into preparing for the NBA draft. The pre-draft work, and got an opportunity to travel overseas with Nike, with Coach Calipari and Bozeman for a 4-country tour. And got invited to be at the NABC All-Star Game. Was blessed to win the MVP as a football player / basketball player. And was blessed to be on 2 solid teams in the combine. One in Phoenix and one in one in Chicago. And so actually I was on one of the teams with Devin Booker's dad, Melvin. And so it was a great experience. And then the draft came around, and I had no clue that I would be a first-round pick. But was grateful to have an advocate for me. One of my coaches who was working me out helped, talk to scouts and GMs because he had relationships with them, and just let them know what type of player and what work I was putting in and upside and all those things. And so I was grateful for all those people that helped me, realize my goal of being in the NBA, and have an opportunity to be a first-round pick was definitely a blessing.
Yeah, you got drafted by the Knicks in 1994, the 26th pick. Were there other teams that you wanted to play for other than Knicks? Or was that the Knicks was your choice to go to?
When you have an opportunity to play in the NBA or the NFL, you want to go to a great organization, and I was blessed to be able to do that. New York, I didn't expect to be there because when I left the Heisman, I said that there's no way I could never live in New York. And God just said, never say never, and I'm going to place you where I think you can have a great impact. And so He sent me to the place that I never could live, and I was there for almost 10 years. And so that's just another life lesson. Sometimes God sends us places that we think we can't thrive or be, and we find our way and work to try to make it happen the best way we can. So it was, I was grateful to be in New York, and couldn't imagine being anywhere else. Besides Orlando was like the other place. And that was because of the state of Florida, and it was closer to my family.
Okay, what was it like playing for Pat Riley? Because that was actually his last season with the Knicks before he went to Miami, 94-95. Obviously, the Knicks went to the NBA semifinals, lost to the Pacers in Game 7. Ewing could have, at least dunked the ball, but he went up for a finger roll. But talk about your experience playing that first season with the Knicks and Pat Riley. What kind of coach was he to you?
He was a hard-nosed, no-nonsense guy. Very well prepared. Had his team well prepared. He challenged you from a mental and physical standpoint, which of course you had to, which is good. And you find a way to, dig deep. And no reason. He had very good players in LA, but as he went on to Miami and with the Knicks, he was able to get those guys to the finals. So he's a very coach that I learned a lot from when it came down to the preparation and challenging guys mentally. Go past comfortable. Now I didn't play. I played like 44 minutes the whole year. So, but I got an opportunity to learn how to work because I was mainly the football guy. And basketball was not my full-time job, so I was a little bit behind skill development wise. So I got an opportunity to work out with Coach Jeff Van Gundy an hour before each practice, which helped me in the long run to develop as a basketball player.
Yeah. So yeah, what was it like playing with Patrick Ewing? Because obviously he was the man on that team. The leader. Your experience with Patrick Ewing. What kind of guy was he? What kind of guy was he to you? Being in the locker room, interacting. Talk about Patrick Ewing being around him.
Yeah, Patrick was a guy that he came to work every day. He had his routine, and he liked his routine, and so and that showed up in his game. So I enjoyed playing with Pat. He's of course a famer, and I could learn a lot from it. So just the professional side, the routine, understanding, playing your role. He had a different role than me, of course, but just him understanding, we all have a role to play in. He was a funny guy. Very, very intense guy, but he was funny at that time. But I enjoyed it. I had an opportunity to play with a lot of Hall of Famers, and he was one of them.
Yeah, so 96, 95, 96 season, you lose to the Bulls, who won 72 games that year, won the championship, losing I think they won in 5 games, but the following year, you should have at least went to the conference finals to play the Bulls, but you lost to Miami Heat, which was a rivalry because of Riley's, mirror images of each other, very intense defensive intensity, Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing. But the game changed, obviously, the series changed, obviously, because, you and P.J. Brown got into it, he flipped you over and, got into a brawl. And that was a game changer because, you should have won the series in 5 games. But talk about that experience as Knicks lost, in 7 games, unfortunately, to Miami Heat.
Yeah, that was a series for us. I think someone brought the stat that we were, played them 4 times and we went 21. And the one series that we lost was that year. And that was the game change as far as the brawl of the fight that broke out. And we had many fights between the Heat and the Knicks. But this one cost us because at that time, I think kind of made up the rules as they went in some form or fashion, about guys leaving the bench. And we knew that. But of course, in a heated battle. And so we ended up getting a couple guys suspended for Game 6, and then a couple guys suspended for Game 7. So we didn't really have our full complement of teams, and we were up, I think, 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1.
Yep. And so that was, was a difficult pill to swallow, with me being, the lead dog in the brawl in a sense, which the 2 guys that were in the Knicks were totally the same type guys, but we got caught up in the emotions of it, and PJ and I are still good friends, and it was fake. We both knew that, but those things do happen, and you take it for what it's worth, you learn from it, and repeat it. So, it was a game changer. We ended up losing that series and not giving ourselves a chance to win a a championship.
Yeah, so 98, Knicks, I think they lost to the Pacers like 5 games in the second round. So in 99, strike short season, you beat Indiana. No, matter of fact, you beat the Heat in 99. Allen Houston made that game-winning shot from in the paint. But you go all the way as an 8th seed to the NBA Finals. You had a great run. And you beat, the Heat was number 1 seed in the East. That strike short season. But talk about your experience playing in the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, you lost to Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Avery Johnson, those guys. I think Mario Elie was on that team. As you lost in the finals. You had Charles Speedwell. You had Larry Johnson. You had a lot of good players. Allen Houston. Talk about that experience in '99. Unfortunately, you came up short in the finals against the Spurs. Talk about that experience, that run to the finals as a whole.
Yeah, the lock short the season because of the lockout, and we had got some guys in, Terrell and Marcus Camby were new, Kurt Thomas relatively new, and so we were trying to implement some new guys into the system along with the guys we had before, and with the shortened season, we were able to work it out, but we weren't able to be coached by Van Gundy and get our chemistry and all those things right with the coaches. And so it took us some time. We knew if we could get to the playoffs, we would be fine. We could be able to compete. And, we had that year, the trail got hurt. I think guys, we ended up missing some guys during that year. I think you got hurt at one point as well. And so, with the short season, we were, just scrapping. And the last 5 or 6 games we needed to win to be able to get in the playoffs. And we were able to get everyone back healthy, and we were able to run the table to be able to get in the playoffs. And that we rode that momentum going to the NBA Finals.
Ewing had got hurt during that time. I think he was injured, and you had Camby, you had Marcus Camby, you had Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, Larry Johnson, who made the 4-point play against Indiana. I remember that on the 3-point shot, and to win that game. And that was just a great time for the Knicks compared to what it is today. I mean, the crowd was just rocking and rolling, playing in Madison Square Garden and stuff like that. You have Latrell Sprewell, Camby, Johnson, and yourself, and that was just a good time. So now, moving forward, you was there for a long time. You go to Houston and go to the Spurs. What went wrong with the Knicks? You was there for a long time. What happened as far as going to other teams to play for? Because you was there for such a long time. Why didn't you stay as a Knick for good to just retire a Knick?
Well, I mean, as we all know, Patrick Ewing got traded. The franchise player gets traded at the end of his career, whether it's because he wanted a different role. They wanted him to play a different role, and he didn't want to play a different role. Whatever the case may be, when you have one of your franchise guys get traded, everyone's on the trade block. So, we had new management come in, and I was on last 2 years, I had 2 years, or I was playing in that 1 year, and then I had another year left on my contract. And so, of course, I was trying to be a deal, put my contract into a deal to be able to get a player that met the president, GM, they wanted. And so Stephon Marbury was the guy that everyone wanted because he's from New York. And, I was shipped out to Phoenix. And Phoenix released me, and that's how I ended up with the Spurs for that half season. And that's the business of the NBA, professional sports. There are guys who are franchise guys or guys who've been places for a very long time, you know, they get traded or they get released or whatever the case may be because of salary cap or not a good fit or team anymore, whatever the case may be. Those things do happen in this business. But I was grateful because I was a role player and I've been in New York for 9.5 seasons, which that's heard of for a role player. Most times, if you're with a organization for that long, you're normally a superstar. And so I was just grateful that I had that long of a stint. I've been traded numerous times in the media, but none of that came to fruition, and I was grateful for that. But, you know, I was, you know, it was time for me to move on, prepare myself for it, and it was at the end of my career, basically. So I was just grateful that I had that long there. And to play 11 years and play in 3 places as a role player is definitely a big blessing.
Okay, let's get into the baseball aspect of your athletic career. Yeah, I've done some research. You were drafted by Milwaukee Brewers and the Yankees. Is that true?
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Talk about that experience because that gets overlooked when you talk about your athletic career. You played, in the NBA, you played, college, basketball and college basketball and college football. But baseball, you get overshadowed. Talk about that experiences, being drafted by the Yankees and the Brewers.
Well, I think it was really didn't get overshadowed in any form or fashion. It was basically 2 organizations. I got drafted like the 19th round and the 57th round. And so it wasn't, something that I was going to really go and do unless that was like the last resort to want to play a sport. And, I had played baseball since high school, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And so it was, it was an option, but it was an option that was, deep on the depth chart in a sense.
Okay, now let's get into Monty Williams. He's your former teammate with the Knicks back in '94. Talk about the job that he has done from your perspective. He's done a great job with Phoenix Suns. They're currently in the middle of the NBA Finals situation right now. Game 5 is tonight. Talk about the job that he has done with the Phoenix Suns, and talk about him as a teammate that you played with back in the mid '90s. Talk about that.
Well, Monty is a man of faith. Of course, we've all grown over the years, and when we came in, we came in the same year. Monty had a lot of issues with his heart. Having to go through that whole deal. Playing, his career was kind of cut short with a knee injury, like mine. But the thing that I liked most about him was his how authentic he was, his humility, and his willingness to understand and know when to say yes, when to say no, when to give in on a deal, just keep pushing. And he's been around some really great coaches. He's learned from some of the best when it came to his mentors over the years of him being an assistant. I don't know why New Orleans got rid of him. I thought he was doing a great job there, building a culture very similar to what he's doing in Phoenix. But he's a funny guy. When it's all said and done, he's a funny guy. Just his demeanor, plays a big part in how he relates to his players and how the respect that they give him for being, who he is. And so I'm happy for him to have this opportunity to be able to get his story out, for people to see who he really is, and for his team as well. because they exemplify, what he's about. They play hard, they play together, and they play the right way.
Okay, well, who you have tonight? Game 5 between Phoenix and Milwaukee. They play tonight in the pit of a Game 5. Who you have winning tonight?
I heard you earlier talking about momentum. There's really no momentum in the playoffs because each game has, kind of their own tape. Just if you want to look at Milwaukee and the Brooklyn Nets, that series took a turn when Kyrie went down.
Yeah.
Just in a whole different. That's just one instance.
Yeah.
And so, when you talk about momentum, the momentum is who comes out and plays early, establish themselves, and who's going to make the most plays, big plays when they need them. Shots, whether it's defensive stops, whatever it may be. And so, I hope that Chris Paul will much better. I know he'll play much better at home, and they just have to keep their turnovers down. But I can see Phoenix win this game if they keep the turnovers down and play the way they've been playing. They really had one bad game this series, and that was Game 3, where Booker, he wasn't really himself. He missed a lot of shots. And so, he didn't play very well, and they lost by 20 or so. So, they played really three good games, and so I don't see them, changing that formula. They just have to make sure they keep the turnovers down. So, I can see this series going 7 games. So I'll have Phoenix winning.
All right, man.
But I want them to win.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want them to win because I know people on the team.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time, man. It's been a pleasure, an honor to have you on my show. You're the first quarterback I've ever interviewed, the first Heisman Trophy winner I ever interviewed, and thank you for your time, Charlie Ward. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. That's former Heisman Trophy winner, lead sports athlete, played baseball, football, basketball, played in the NBA. It's been a great pleasure having Charlie Ward on, and thank you for coming on. It's been